Well, welcome into this exciting episode of Get Better Together. I am your host, Bubba Startz, and with me today is my new co-host, Jamie Gilcrease. Jamie, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, hey Bubba.
Well, we had so much fun when we had you on as a guest a few weeks ago, and I thought it would be fun to explore at least doing a few episodes with you as just a co-host, where we get into more of a back and forth kind of conversation rather than just kind of digging into your shit.
Right, I like that.
We can dig into mine too. Um, so for people that maybe haven't seen your episode with us before, why don't you give us just a short backstory on you and obviously businesses and everything, and then
Yeah,
what kind of brought us together?
yeah, absolutely. I own a coffee house up in Leeds, South Dakota, and met some amazing humans through that. I've met you maybe a few times. I've heard of from you, and then yeah, I own a coaching business and have some real estate, and I'm a mom of three beautiful young daughters, and yeah, that's kind
It
of who I
the,
am.
Well, and you have a keen interest in helping people, right? And
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what really brought us together is that with your coaching and consulting, and your affiliation with, oh, what's the name of the organization again?
Which one? The Lotus Vision?
Well,
Oh,
Lotus Vision is
yeah.
yours, but with the
Yeah.
pathways.
Pathways. Shit, Bubba.
Maybe I'm
Oh
not
God.
saying it right.
Oh, like Path of Love,
Path
maybe?
of Love. Thank you. Yes.
Yep. Yeah, Awakening of Love. I've done a lot of different things. So I'm like, what? What one? Yeah. And I think community, right? That's a big connection for you and I is community.
Right. Well, and it's definitely that, the wanting to not just better ourselves, but to help other people be better is
Mhm.
obviously what drew us together now in the Get Better Together project, right? It
Yeah,
is finding a
absolutely.
way to even beyond just a podcast to find ways to bring this to a live setting with conferences or seminars or whatever you'd like to call them. I think that's a passion for both of us to do that. You
Yeah.
are officially a podcaster now, as you just finished up shooting your first episode and getting on camera and talking. Tell us about the process. I mean, it's still fresh in your mind. I can still see that glow about you right now of
Yeah.
having finished it. So tell us about kind of how it came about, who your first guest was, and how it's changed your life already.
Yeah, already. So I think I reached out to you and said, Hey, Baba, like I'm really interested. I want to share stories that matter, right? And have conversations. And yesterday you gave me some homework. You said, why don't you just do it? And so actually last week when we talked, I got all the equipment and I asked the right people and was able to get the ring lights and different things. And I asked Tracy Iceland, our island, to come on. She's actually a partner in a business that I've got going on here in Spearfish. And I said, Hey, Trace, we just did a ribbon cutting. Would you come and have a video with me? Live video. Let's just do it. And she's like, Yeah, absolutely. So we set it up and we just started having conversations around what it is that we're doing here, why we're doing it. And it flowed so beautifully. Like it didn't feel hard. And I felt like we had conversations that matter, about
Well,
what we're doing.
and that's what most people don't realize about what a podcast is it's just a conversation. It's just talking. But it's it's kind of ditching the mentality of like, oh, somebody's going to be listening to this and I have to be something other than just myself. And I think
Right.
that's probably what trips a lot of people up is you're looking at what we've been fed with broadcast television or radio or something like that and you're thinking that you have to fit into like this crazy box and to have the radio voice, which I was blessed with, also a face for radio too, but that you have to have like some special skills to be a podcaster. And it's like, no, you just have to know how to talk. Can you be interesting for 15 to 20 minutes with another
Right.
human being? And really that's all it is. So I was so proud to watch you today on the live and to see it just kind of blossoming right in front of our eyes was a really cool process and a really cool moment for me, especially because this is the future of my business, right? Is training other people and is giving people that confidence to step out and to start having conversations that matter of their own, right? I'm 150 episodes in. I know what it's done for me, right? And I want to share that with you, but not just by having a conversation with me. Go have conversations with people that you find interesting. And that could be within your circle, or that could be out in the wide world. And that's it was really cool to see that first block in motion. Oh my God, we got somebody off the sidelines and into the game today. Like, I was just thrilled.
Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful because again, like I knew that it's supposed to be happening. I could feel it, right? And then you were sharing things about what you're doing and you're just becoming this lighthouse for me and probably so many others. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I got to talk to him." And you're like, "Just start." We had the conversation around how we learn how to walk, right? We don't just learn how to walk. And I just had to put down the perfect down, right? This sense of I needed to be perfect. I'm like, wait, I know I don't have to be perfect. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm having these conversations anyways. And like I'd said with Tracy, I said, oh my gosh, you know, how many times have we had the conversation that we should have recorded this? And I think that came out in one of our conversations too, that you had felt that way, right?
Well,
And
and yeah,
so,
even yesterday's conversation where it's like, we should have probably recorded that, but that's okay. That's okay.
there were some great gems, and I don't even have my notebook. I always have my notebook.
I
And
just had
so,
to I just had to put down the perfect. I don't know if that's
yeah.
a new show or it's just our new motto, but that's what it takes. And because of my experience as a live performer, right? I've never put pressure on myself to be perfect. You're going to get what you're going to get. Right.
Yeah.
So it kind of gave me that unnatural confidence and that advantage in this world to go, who cares if it's on tape? Right. Like, probably nobody's listening. And if you're talking for an hour, most people aren't listening to the whole thing anyway. They might catch a clip on your social media with a reel or something like that that draws them into your world. But yeah, if you're gonna, I mean, your life isn't perfect, right? But you wake up
Right.
every day and you step out there into the world and you don't let your not perfect life affect you from taking the next breath. So
Right.
why would you let it stop you from doing this? And
Oh my
yeah,
gosh, I
it
love
was
that.
it was such a cool part of our evolution as a company, as people, as what, the evolution of what we're going to do together for our future. This was a huge first step to that today. And I was really glad that I caught it live, got to be in the comments section and throw some flowers your way. And I'm so darn proud of you, Jamie. You really
Oh,
grabbed it
thank
by the
you.
horns.
Thank you so much, Bubba. And I just like again, like yesterday, saying like thank you for being a lighthouse for people because again, I was for so many years I wanted to do this, and just have these conversations because I love having conversations with people and I love gaining these pieces and nuggets from people because everyone around me is just so incredible. Like really incredible. They've all lived these amazing lives. And when you get curious about humans, oh my gosh. You know what I mean? They just they just amaze me. Every day I'm amazed by somebody. I'm learning all the time.
And yet you don't know what made someone who they are today, right? Like you're inspired by the man I am now, but how cool to go back in time with a conversation and go, what made you this
Yeah.
lighthouse? How did you come to this? And then to have that conversation with, you're never going to run out of people to talk to, right? Like there's 8 billion people on the planet, like you're never going to talk to all of them. So you're never going to run out of conversations to have. You're never going to run out of people to be inspired by. And that's what's really unlocked this whole thing for me and why I set out with this, start a million podcasters on their journey goal is because that you have to set some outrageous number because if you set it too low, that it's very achievable, right? We could start 9 podcasters a day or more, right? And that's where this thing, like right now, we have one, right? We got Jamie off the bench and she's out there now and she's doing something. to get 10,000 of that in the digital era, it isn't as hard as it seems like, right? With the ability to do webinars and to share knowledge digitally, even 100,000 podcasters seemed like a low number to me. And maybe I'm crazy. Maybe that's all it is, right? And I just like throwing big numbers out there because I want to chase this for the rest of my life, right?
Right.
And I just can't imagine anything being better for myself. I've learned so much about me, right? Through having conversations with other people and relating to other people and having relationship, right, with other people that, present company included, that I can't imagine stopping doing what I'm doing. I know I'm going to enjoy the hell out of teaching other people how to do this and then watching their lives changed.
Right, absolutely. And I think that that is such a key point that you just made, and we don't know who we're going to impact, but we know we're going to have some impact. And it's like, you know, taking myself out of the box, I think was really huge. And just saying, now what? Right? Now what? You know, all of this is in front of me, and my hair is a little crazy today because I always do it straight. I don't know if you know that, but I'm always straightening my hair because it's so curly and it's so crazy. I
Oh,
made
you
a
got to
joke to
let
a
those
friend
curls
today.
go,
I
sweetie.
know, I know. I said my hair is gonna enter the room before I do today. Like that's just what's gonna happen, you know? But it was like, okay, I don't have to be perfect today. Like I don't. And that is really important, because we don't other people are like, oh my gosh, your hair is so beautiful. And I'm like, oh God, it's so frizzy or whatever. And something so simple, right? But I was like, I am not letting this stop me. I'm not letting it stop me. I'm just going to go with it and we're doing it. So
And
thanks,
that's
Bubba.
great. And well, you're welcome. No, thank you. You've completely made my day by just, taking the reins of your own life. And for you, your podcast and what you end up doing are going to be so valuable because it puts you in front of people every day. It's going to put you out in front of a wider audience than you could ever reach through your social media. It's going to get out there. Once you start talking about, our next level is that we are growing as a network, right? And I'm learning
Right.
all of the things behind the scenes of how you bring in the massive viewership, right? There's tricks to this thing. There's ways that you can do this. And because I had a pretty good leg up with the production side of podcasting from my years as a musician and just being in that world of recording and editing and producing and broadcasting, that now I can focus more attention on how do you make it big, right? How do you find the support, financially for these things through sponsors, affiliates, or whatever? So I'm doing a lot of homework every day too, Jamie. It's not just you.
Right. Yeah. But I think better together, right? I mean, that name alone is like we are stronger together, like community, right? We look at community, and when we are connecting and bringing in, that's that program I've got going on, that Superstars program, right? That I can't wait to share with the world.
Which
Like
I
what
just
we do
love
here.
too. We're gonna have to talk about that. Put a pin in that because I want to talk about
Yeah.
that today.
Yeah, for sure. So it's just we are stronger together, right? And democracy at its finest is what came up for me. We give it back to the people and have those conversations and move mountains because people are incredible. This whole world has been made up. So go create your booty off.
Right. And no time like the present to do it as the veil is
Yeah,
coming off the matrix that we've been born and bred in, right? Um,
right.
especially, not to get overly political, but to see how much money, of our tax money, was going back to feed into a propaganda machine to tell us how to live our lives. Right. So if you're, I'm 38, I'll be 39 this year. I know you're a few years older, but now we're same generation, I would say. Right. And our
Yeah,
entire lives have been controlled by a very, very few people. Everything that we have watched growing up, that we have been taught in our schools, that we have had fed to us, that people like us go, this isn't right. That's not what life is. That's not what it's
right. It's not
like.
connecting. Yeah,
Right. It
yeah,
never made sense to me. It never made sense to me. And maybe I read Kerouac too early in life, and that kind of, sparked that. It definitely set me on the path to the West Coast, but it was living in a mostly disconnected life. And that's probably that time, right? As a teenager, I didn't spend a lot of time in front of a TV. After that, I was just out in the world. I mean, I was experiencing homelessness and drug addiction. I wasn't watching fucking ABC and tuning into The Bachelor, right? So that wasn't even
Right.
that world was never real to me. And my world was with broken people, to put it
Yeah.
bluntly. And just
Yeah.
like myself, I mean, I myself was very, very broken. I'm starting to mend and heal those pieces, and I owe a huge debt of gratitude to having this show to do it. Whether it's just me talking with a co-host or it's having a guest on, which you have been, or one of our other guests, sharing my life story with people and having them share their story with me is changing me. It is affecting me on a DNA level, where every single code that gets fed to me unlocks something new. And now we get to share that with the world. Is just what a time to be alive.
Oh my gosh. Amen. Amen, brother. Amen. Like I feel that because through our story, what were we talking about yesterday? When it was like we are living the Bible, right? And I don't know a lot about the Bible. I mean, I know some. I've studied a little bit on my own. I'm not really into organized religion, but what it is it's like we are living, what was it you called it? The parables, right? So
Yep.
we're stepping in to these and sharing our stories to help others. And that's exactly what the Bible to me is, right? And I don't, like I said, I don't even know the Bible, but it's like we're sharing these stories, we're connecting, and I'm like, oh, I feel that too. Oh, I've been through something like that,
Right.
right?
And that's why when the disciples and followers of Jesus early, while he's alive, are asking him, why do you speak in parables? And part of it is because if I just told you the truth with no context and with no human connection, you wouldn't get it.
Right.
You wouldn't get
Right.
it. And not that I'm like trying to speak for Jesus here or anything, but that's why we have the parables. That's why it was told in that way, because we understand thing in stories. That's why the movie industry is as big as it is. That's why all of these things what grew to that level, because that's how on a human level we absorb information. That's how it gets through to us. And now with podcasts, we are sharing that story one to one. It is no longer we're watching a program, and they're called programs for a reason, right? We're not being fed that from someone else. We are able to share that one to one with people that we respect and people that we have a connection with. That's what this is about. That's like at its essence, that's what a podcast is. And I
Right.
hope that through us continuing to share our stories, that it catches on, that it just keeps growing. And that's why I say today was such a big moment, because my life being changed by podcasting has now affected your life, and you are
Yes.
taking the reins of that now. And how many lives are you going to change through this? And it was a really cool moment. It's probably like watching the first cellular division, right, of a newborn, at conception, and then watching that, because now we're going to
Oh,
start multiplying. Right now, it's
right.
really going to start taking off as people see Jamie. Oh, well, where'd Jamie learn to do that? Oh, well, she learned it from Bubba. Oh, okay, well, I'm going to go ask Bubba if he can help me. And now we start
Mm.
growing. And eventually, we talked about it yesterday, but a year from now, we're probably not the teachers at all, where we've taught
Mm.
other people how to be lighthouses themselves. And now they are out there and building an army of lighthouses. And how bright will that light be when you have a million of them lined up end to end throughout the whole world? I mean, it just
Oh, but it's like a forest fire, right? It's like a forest fire, and it's like once it goes and then it just lights up, and all these beautiful humans are talking and exchanging stories and being real and authentic. And I got to do that with Tracy sitting in my office here, and it was just incredible. And we connected and hopefully somebody else was moved by that. I mean, it moved you seeing
There
me
was
like step into
six
the
people.
space,
Yeah, there were six people tuning in live that you affected. Friends of yours. Tracy, I'm sure, was affected by it, where she's like, man, I could do that again. Right. And whether it's
Right,
with you or whether it's with her, I know Tracy, right? Like she's got a
yeah,
massive network of people that she could talk to
right,
that could share infinite wisdom. So it was really awesome to witness it, right? To be here as not the person involved in it this time, but to watch, like I said, it's like watching my kid play ball, and you hit a single today, right? You had it on the tee and you hit one and you got on base, and it's like now let's go learn how to hit home runs, Jamie.
right.
Let's learn how to knock this out of the park, and then we're going to teach other people how to do that. And it's a big reason why yesterday I contacted you to be the new co-host of the show, because now you're on fire, right? And now that
Right,
you have these two people that are on fire and on the same page, well, we're going to spread that much faster, and it's going to continue to
right.
just keep spreading. And we want to set people on fire. I want you to feel it
Yeah,
inside like I feel it, right? And I
yeah,
want to give a little piece of this to you. There's a meme going around that's like, a candle loses none of its own flame by lighting another candle, right?
amen.
And
Yeah,
we want to be flamethrowers, baby. Let's go.
yeah. I'm so up for that. Like, yes, flamethrowers letting people know that their gifts are so worthy of being out there and their voice matters. But their voice matters. And I think that that is when I started to kind of open up a little bit and share my story and see how it affected other people to where I was connecting with people. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've hidden this part of me for so many years. And yet, and these thought processes within me, right? Like I kind of shared a little bit and I shared with you my book. That's not done yet, but it's coming. But it was about my realization around pain, right? And that the comparison of pain and how you can show up in your pain and hurt other people. And I really wanted to kind of dive deep into that. And when I realized this piece around pain, that you and I, we both, everybody on this planet has trauma, some kind of a trauma. We all feel pain, the same pain. We just got there differently. That's it. We just got there differently. And your pain isn't more valuable than my pain or anything. It's still pain. And so I wanted to start having those conversations. Like, how was that a pain affecting people? How was that happening and destroying families? Right. And when we were keeping quiet about these things, like I want to bring it to the light, right? I want to bring it to the light and dissolve whatever is going on in there, that darkness that you feel shame around, or then you're blaming other people. And it's like, no, no, I want to teach people how to come back home to themselves and share those gifts. Get rid of the shame. Take a bottle brush in there and get it all out. And that's the work, the path of love work that I've done, the awakening of love work, really giving people space to own it, to own their shit, to own their power. I never realized I was so afraid of anger. I was so afraid of anger. And through the path of love work that I've done, I actually found that anger was my freaking superpower. It was my passion. It was there and it was like it needed to come out, but I get to choose how I reveal that and how it moves me, right? And so I don't need to throw it on other people. I don't need to mm, throw mud on people or share their ickies or whatever. But when I share my ickies, it helps other people in a kind manner, from a place of curiosity and non-judgment. I realized in the world that I was living in, I was judging people on how I was judging myself, and I was afraid that other people are judging me. I'm like, oh, I got lots of work to do. You know what I mean? Because I was like, I couldn't even get into a conversation without curiosity. And I was like, oh, I got a lot of work, you know? And that started in 2012, I think. I was like, oh, woo,
Well, and
right?
it takes so much courage just to get to that point where you're like, I have work to do, right? So many people go through their whole lives. And I think definitely with generations before, right? We were married or not, our parents and things, right? They were holding on to pain from a generation before them. And
Oh, yeah.
generational trauma doesn't mean that like it's just in your DNA and you're carrying it that way. It's what happened to you. It's what happened to you before you even have memories, right? A lot of your trauma is at a very early age, right? Most kids don't remember being that age at all. Most adults don't remember being those ages. And you have to
Right.
carry this pain and then bury it for 30 years, right? Or 25
Yeah.
years and not be able to do anything with it because nobody really even had the tools, or very few people had the tools. And I think that's the beauty of the self-help world that we're in now, just the beauty of the internet. All of the information is out there. It's not behind a door. It's not, it's not inside of a book cover. It's out here. It's out here in the world. And now, as we keep talking about it, it gets even easier to share in the short form stuff of how people actually consume thoughts, right? So, I
Right.
mean, I don't know that it was possible in the world before now, right? To be
Yeah.
able to have the tools to transmute your pain, because it has to be changed. That energy is not going anywhere. And we know now that that energy will manifest itself physically inside of your body, cancer or pains and aches and all of these
Yeah.
things, right? So we know that the things that we've been through have affected us. We
Yeah.
know that they're in there. We know if left unchecked that they may very well cause physical harm and even death, right? So we have to find a way to bring them out from under the bush, right? And to
Yeah.
shine a light on them, and then to use our tools to transmute that pain into something else. And for both of us, I think I can speak for you in this way, that the way that we're healing ourselves is by being that beacon, that lighthouse, that something to be called to, right? Because we've been called. I know
Right.
that you've had dreams, and me, I just keep following God every day, right? I wake up and go to the altar every day and pray, and my God likes stones and rocks and burning of incense, and like that's who my God is, right? I'm not telling you who to go follow or that there's a book out there that you need to read to get there. You know it inside of you. And I think that where we're at in life is that everyone knows that feeling that religious texts and things have been trying to teach for millennia, right? Everyone is aware of that feeling. We just tend to put different names on it. So
Yeah.
I don't care what you call it, right?
Right.
But I
Universe,
want you to,
God. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Whatever it is,
Source,
Buddha. Yeah.
creator, whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's all the same name for an energy, for a calling, and
It's
to
higher than us. Yeah.
physically manifest that. Like, we are the physical manifestation of God, right?
Right.
We are that. So
Yeah.
us communicating with each other and being the perfect expression of God and sharing our imperfectness with each other, that's how we get better together, right? Like that's
Yes. Yes.
well, it's
I
hard
love
not to get
it.
goosebumps when you're talking about real stuff, right? Like my
Right.
back of my head is just on fire right now.
I've got it too. I'm like, oh, I'm feeling it today. It's wild.
And how do you not want to just live in that all the time, right?
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, why I'm so adamant about like figuring out the business of this whole thing and how it makes sense, because eventually there's business people that can do that too. Like, I'm looking
Yes.
for also people that know that and can do that for us, so that Bubba and Jamie can just go be on fire and get in front of as many people as we possibly can and share this fire, so we can start
Right.
that forest fire and to get it burning and to eventually see where that goes, right? Like,
Right.
that's the vision that we have for this is so much bigger than just two people on a Zoom call. But this is
Yeah.
a great way to get started.
Yep. That's exactly it. I mean, that's we're starting, right? And we talked about, when we're learning how to walk, and like I told you today, like I started crawling. Like I'm like, okay, I'm gonna learn this. I don't know what this is, and I'm gonna do it though, and I'm gonna step and take the first step. And um I think that it's important. I think it's important to have those conversations, right? I think it's important to, when something's calling for you, right? Write the letter, write the message on Facebook, right? I remember when I started to be really vulnerable on Facebook, and people are like, Jam, you're sharing too much. And I'm like, and it was a little scary. And so I pulled back, but then I was like, no, I got to, because people started saying, thank you so much, right? Not on the Facebook itself, but in a personal message. Like, wow, you're really helping. You helped me. And I'm like, okay. So I was so nervous, and people they were kind of nasty, at times or whatever, but I knew that I had to get my message out there. I knew that I had to start navigating some of the stuff and just starting, right? And so that's kind of how I've met certain people and changed lives and connected and had stories and we've shared because I just started being vulnerable and saying, this is my truth, right? I remember the first time I was vulnerable around my past experience and my trauma as a child. And I kept that like closed down because I didn't want nobody to know. I didn't even want my husband. I was married to a man and he didn't even know the things that I had lived through. Had no idea. Had no idea. There was people that knew me for so many years, didn't know I was adopted. I was adopted at age 11. I was so afraid. You know what I mean? And I started sharing because there was a program and a woman that I just love, Jessica Noteboom, and she challenged me, right? I'm always about challenges. You challenge me and I'm on it. So, but she challenged me because I became a part of the Boys and Girls Club. Like I love children and women. Like I really want to just uplift children and women and men too, but I really am connected with women and children. And uh Jess said, we've got to raise $25,000 for these kiddos at the Boys and Girls Club. And I'm like, I'm out. Like I can't do that. Like I'm barely scraping by right now. And so then I had an idea and I started sharing my story in front of people and asking people to give money to these kids because some of these kids have the same story as me, right? And so I said, this is my story and I gave a little bit. And I raised $10,000 that year just by myself. $10,000 for these kiddos to be a part of this program. And now I utilize my building at the Lotus Up to raise money for kids. I mean, I've raised thousands of dollars for the Boys and Girls Club. Now this year, actually, we're going to do Fireworks for the Future is what it's called. But I use the deck because it's right in front of the big open cut there in Lead. They do a big fireworks show. And we use that space and use my property to raise money. We're doing it for post prom. For kiddos for next year, and then I've done Young Life, right? I gave a check out last year for Young Life to bring that to Lee Deadwood. And, you know, kids matter, people matter, humans matter, and utilize what you have. And I make money because I sell coffee and all the things, but I also make money for these kiddos, right? Share what we have, you know?
And that's our future, right? Is
Yeah.
how much, because I've seen on a small scale, we had an event last December where we raised some money for a local family. They have a daughter diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Shout out to Haley and Ryan Klima.
What?
Their daughter, Avery. They
Avery?
have a foundation now called Saving Avery that kind of spurned out of the event.
Look, got
But
goosebumps. Look at that
yeah.
right here.
Well, and we
Yeah.
were able to raise with no marketing, with no major affiliation with any of these big, the major media outlets or anything like that. Like nobody was really helping us to do any of that. And we raised $2,000 in an evening of just me getting together with my musician friends, right? So the fact that, I mean, and that's what kind of unlocked it for me. That was the first time I'd organized a bit of a charity event like that. And now I'm doing homework. I went to American Heart Association, the Go Red for Women event a few weeks ago or last week in Sioux Falls, and watching how they did it. And I mean, they
Yeah.
raised hundreds of thousands of dollars that night. I was like, there's no reason that with our community that we couldn't do that same thing. Right.
Right.
And I think this year we have plenty of causes around, but always looking for more, using our podcast platform to advertise for other charities. That's something that I've thrown out there. If you have a 501 or you have a charity that thinks, that needs to be put out there, we'd love to feature them on ads on like it costs us nothing. Costs me $0 to put an ad for a charity on our podcast episodes. It costs me nothing. But I also don't have the time to go and seek out all the charities to put their name on too. So kind of put out a
Yeah.
call to action, had a few people comment, and I'll do it here again now, right? Like if you have a charity, if you have something that needs to be a benefit or anything of that nature, like that is our function here. That's what I am here for, is to run my mouth for good,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
to never stop.
And the power of the people, right? Isn't that just mind-blowing? I think that's where the superstars comes in, right? I just had this hit, this crazy hit, Bubba, and I I was in Sioux Falls, got invited to a program called ODA, and there was a gentleman talking about Detroit soup. And these people got together in the arts world and started just kind of holding people up, right? Building community, building connection. I'm like, I could do that. I could do that in my little community. And so I did. I asked Kiwanis, Tracy Thacker actually was my person of contact, and she went back and Superstars was born, right? And then a few years later, I took it over as a 501c3, started a nonprofit and with a small board, and now we have a toolkit for rural communities to do the work. And it's people like you and me, $10 at a time. It's very transparent. And we go into communities and teach them how to do crowdfunding dinners. That's what we do. And it builds connection. And people talk about their dreams. They get 5 minutes to stand up. Spearfish right now has one. They bought our first toolkit 5 years ago, and they have raised like 50 plus $1,000, Bubba, just by people like you and me, $10 at a time for amazing things. The one they just look at this. I have got goosebumps all over. Like it's the power of the people, you know? It's like people moving people. And I think that sometimes like people don't realize how powerful they are. Your voice is so powerful, and we get to use it for good. We get to use it for things that, will build people up and support them and lift them up. You know what I mean? Because this world is hard enough. We don't need to make it harder, you know?
No, we
I know.
don't. No, guys like Tony Robbins, who I know you're a huge fan of, like if words
Oh,
didn't
huge
have
fan.
power, he wouldn't be a bazillionaire, right? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the
And he's moved
man.
mountains, and he has a story too. Like you and I. I mean, he's got a story.
Yeah, and
No,
share
and
and
he
in
uses that.
sharing that story is how he changed lives, and realizing, early on before the internet or anything, that this is, what he chose to do with his life. And I'm so grateful for people like
Oh,
him to be that beacon for us to look to and go, "Oh no, we can, this is how we make people better." Okay, we get it now.
yeah.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you. We're
Thanks,
now we're
Tony.
Yeah. And now we have the ability to do that and to keep growing, this little podcast following, and to grow it into a big community where we can start to go and to visit areas personally, and to bring ourselves physically, and to bring these, online communities to a physical reality, right? To a
Yeah.
space. And then, well, you like talk about how that room, everybody should be swimming in goosebumps that day.
Yes, amen. That's exactly. And I feel that, and I know that that is coming. Like I just do. And when I met you and we both had the same vision, I was like, wait, you have that vision too? Like I have that vision. You know what I mean? Like it was just so beautiful how we were so connected on that level, and what you and your wife are doing and some of the people that I'm connected with and we're doing. And it's so incredible. So incredible.
And it builds an incredible community. And that's what
Yeah.
I think that we're realizing, is that when we kind of combine our powers now, and in coming together, that we have amplified not just ourselves but our communities, right? And granted, ours has a lot of overlap to it as well. To put together an event or retreat or a summit or anything in the Black Hills would be very easy for us to accomplish, right? I have a very
Yeah.
big,
Right.
loyal following there as well as you do. And that's the next step, right? Build out this podcast following a little bit further, and to come up with a nice framework of the message that we want to deliver, and then to just keep doing it. Like, and just, I don't ever want to stop doing what I'm doing now. I can't stop. So I have to find a way to make a little money so that we don't lose our house in the meantime.
Right. Yeah, no joke. And that's a true thing, right? I mean, people are looking at that too and that fear, but it's not letting that fear take us out. Like understanding that there's something so much higher than me. And that's the thing, like we talked about yesterday around, conversations that I've had, and I'm just with my next level collective, that program that I just launched in January. I mean, I just onboarded nine women into this program, and have the opportunity to go into corporate, which is just beautiful and brilliant, teaching people how to communicate, right, with each other and coach each other and be there for each other, bring connection. And that's That's my purpose on this planet. And yeah, it's like having people be inspired by people, by their stories. That's what we're doing, you know?
We're teaching people how to be better humans.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think people do. I mean, but there's so much fear in the world. And if you can get away from that fear and be like, no, and that's the thing is that I kept learning that I never did it for the money. The money didn't drive me. I mean, yeah, it's nice or whatever. And there was moments where like money was a thing, but I don't know why. I just had this like total understanding, and maybe it's because I came from nothing. I don't know. But like there was this deeper understanding that I'd be taken care of, right? And I have over and over and over again. When it looks so like gloomy and nasty, all of a sudden I get a check in the mail for $25,000. Or, I overpaid my taxes. That happened. I was like, what? Like, how do you do that? You know what I mean? And then it was like, okay. When COVID hit, right? I mean, that's a real thing for people. Every bit of community thought process I had was challenged. I was in a bad place, Baba. I was in a bad place because I just had launched the superstars, and now they're telling me I can't bring people together. And I was a wreck. I was a wreck. I wasn't able to challenge some of those things. I was too afraid. And as I was navigating, my coffee house was actually on fire, like on fire serving people. I mean, we were serving so many people out of drive-through window. Thank you, Jesus, for putting in a drive-through window. I mean, people needed that connection and I had it. I had it. I kept every one of my employees moving. They were moving and working and doing all the things. Like I'm so grateful. So grateful. I like
Well,
get teary-eyed.
yeah, well, and I'm so grateful to not just know you, Jamie, but to consider you a friend and to have you now as the co-host of Get Better Together and just keep growing. We both
Yeah.
could be hosting 12 podcasts with all the directions that we could go. And
Right.
maybe we'll get there one day, but we're going to focus on this one together and then getting yours really moving and walking, right? That's our next step.
Yeah,
You're
awesome.
crawling
Yeah.
now. It's you're going to be grabbing onto furniture and kind of hobbling along real soon, and before you'll know it, you'll be flying. So,
Yeah. Thank
well, thank
you.
you everybody for tuning in today to this
Yeah.
episode. Make sure you're following the show. Make sure you are on that YouTube channel for the Scene Projects. Follow us on social media as well, and we will see you next time on the Get Better Together project.
Bye. Thank you.